Dinner. The boardwalk smelled of fried dough and arrogance. I stood in the shadow of the neon-wrapped Cayman, watching him perform for his phone. Wash my Porsche. Sweetheart. The 19-year-old influencer threw me a rag. I didn't move. Diff. He yelled. A flatbed truck arrived. The driver asked me, "Ma'am, is this the repo?" I nodded. Yeah. He missed 3 payments. Take it back to my dealership. The rag hit the concrete with a dull thud, signaling the end of his fantasy. Blaze froze, his ring light reflecting in eyes that suddenly looked very young. Around us, the ocean breeze whipped at the cheap plastic banners he used to mark his IVP zone. He wore a fur coat in July. Dinner. Sweating while preaching about abundance mindsets to strangers on the internet. I smoothed my blazer, feeling the cool silk against my skin. My skin. The contrast between my absolute silence and his manic noise was sharp enough to cut glass. He still actually believed this was just a skit. Yo. Cut the camera! He screamed at his friend, a terrified boy holding a gimbal like a holy relic. The tow driver, Mikey, didn't wait for permission. He was already kneeling by the bumper, hooking chains to the undercarriage with practiced efficiency. The metallic clank of steel on steel silenced the small crowd on the promenade. Blaze lunged forward, grabbing my arm with sticky hands. You can't do this. I have 3,000 people watching right now. I looked at his hand until he let go. That is the point, Blaze, I said. That winch motor whined a high, pitched mechanical scream that drowned out the crashing waves. Slowly, the neon green Porsche began to tilt backward. It looked ridiculous rising into the air. A toy put back in the box by a frustrated parent. But the tires screeched against the pavement, leaving black rubber streaks that matched the dark circles under Blaze's eyes. He scrambled toward the car, slapping the fender as if he could physically hold back the weight of his debt. I glanced at the phone screen his friend was still holding. The comments were scrolling so fast they were a blur. They weren't praising him anymore. Words like fake, broke, and repo dominated the chat, accompanied by endless laughing emojis. The illusion of his life shattered in real time, transmitted in 4K to the fans he claimed to rule. Blaze saw it too. He slumped against a palm tree, knees hitting the concrete. The fur coat slipped off his shoulder, revealing a dirty, stained T-shirt. But last night at family dinner, Mikey slammed the lever into the locked position. The car was secured, hovering 10 feet above the boardwalk like a trophy of bad decisions. We good, boss? Mikey asked, wiping grease on his jeans. We are excellent, I replied, turning my back on the sobbing boy. I didn't feel pity. I felt the cold, clean satisfaction of a ledger balancing out. I walked toward the truck cab, checking my watch. The show was over, but my work was beginning. Time to audit the damage. 3 months earlier, the air in my office was recycled and cold. I stood behind the glass wall overlooking the showroom, a predator in a climate-controlled aquarium. Below, a salesman circled customers like reef sharks, sensing the pheromones of desperation and bad credit. I took a sip of espresso, black and bitter, watching the dance. A young couple argued over monthly payments near a sedan. I didn't see people down there. I saw abilities wrapped in cheap polyester and hope. The dealership wasn't a business. It was a digestive system for the financially illiterate. The automatic doors slid open, admitting a gust of humid air and my niece, Lexi. She looked smaller than I remembered, shrinking inside an oversized hoodie. But she wasn't alone. A boy walked in beside her, leading the way with a gimbal held high like a torch. He didn't look at the cars. He looked at the lens of his phone, narrating his entrance with frantic energy. Dinny. He wore distressed denim that cost more than my first car. I sighed, set down my cup, and descended the stairs. The click of my heels on the marble floor usually silenced the room. The salesmen straightened their ties, but the boy didn't even blink. He was too busy performing for an invisible audience. We are here at Prestige Motors, he shouted, spinning in a circle. About to make some boss moves with the fam. Lexi saw me approaching and offered a nervous wave. She looked terrified, her eyes darting between me and the boy. She smelled like vanilla vape juice and anxiety. I stopped 3 feet away, crossing my arms. Auntie Sarah. Lexi squeaked, rushing to hug me. I stiffened but patted her back. This is Blaze. The one I told you about. Blaze finally lowered the camera, though the recording light stayed red. He looked me up and down, assessing my value to his content strategy. Yo, nice setup, he said, his voice dropping the announcer cadence. A little boomer chick? But I vibe with the retro energy. He extended a hand. His grip was weak, moist, and entirely unconvincing. I didn't smile. Lexi says you run this joint, Blaze continued, leaning back against a pristine Audi R8. The rivets on his jeans scraped the clear coat. I flinched internally but stayed silent. I am looking to upgrade my brand. I need something that screams I made it. You know, Porsche. Maybe a Macan or a 911 if you are feeling generous. He winked at Lexi. It's for exposure. I got numbers, Sarah. Huge numbers. If I drive your whip, everyone will want one. The entitlement hung in the air like smog. I looked at his wrist as he gestured. He was wearing a gold Rolex Daytona, a watch that retails for $40,000. It ticked. Authentic Rolex movement sweep. They do not tick. It was a battery-operated fake, likely bought on a street corner for $50. But that single detail told me everything I needed to know about his liquidity. He wasn't a customer. He was a walking, talking charge off. I should have kicked him out right then. I should have called security to escort him off the lot. Instead, a dark curiosity bloomed in my chest. The finance director in my brain, the part that loves fine print and late fees, woke up. You want a Porsche? I said slowly, testing the waters. I need a Porsche. He corrected, puffing out his chest. And the money is coming. Guaranteed. I smiled, a shark baring teeth. Come up to my office, Blaze. Let's look at the inventory. Lexi shivered. She knew that smile. It was the face I made before foreclosing on a house. My office was designed to make confident men feel small. The mahogany desk was a heavy slab of wood, and the guest chair sat 2 inches lower than standard. I watched Blaze sink into the leather. Family dinner, his knees awkwardly elevated. He didn't notice the subtle power dynamics. He was too busy adjusting his ring light on the desk edge. Lexi sat beside him, twisting her purse strap until her knuckles turned white. I pulled the file from my drawer. High risk promotional lease, I announced, sliding the thick stack across the wood. The sound was heavy, final. We have a 2018 Cayman. Black on black. It photographs well. Blaze wrinkled his nose at the model year. Vintage, he muttered to his phone screen. I can work with retro vibes. I suppressed a sneer. It wasn't vintage. It was 5 years old and off lease. Since your capital is tied up in international transfers. I lied smoothly. We'll structure this as a short-term lease. $2,000 down today. Payments due on the 1st. No grace period. If you miss a payment, the contract defaults immediately. He wasn't listening. Yeah, money dates, whatever. Blaze waved a hand, eyes glued to his live stream. $2,000 is chill. I'll Venmo you. I tapped the paper with my pen. Cashier's check or wire only. And this clause here, Section 14B. Dinner. It authorizes the installation of a remote disable device and GPS tracking for insurance purposes. Standard for high-profile clients. I emphasized high profile like a shiny fishing lure. He didn't even read it. Family dinner. Just saw the signature line and scribbled something that looked like a seismograph reading during an earthquake. I flipped the page to Section 19. The reputation clause. I said, my voice dropping an octave. You cannot use the vehicle in the commission of a crime. Nor can you misrepresent the ownership status in a way that damages the dealership's brand liability. Blaze laughed, a hollow, rehearsed sound. Bro, I am an influencer. My brand is flawless. He signed again, pressing so hard the tip of the pen nearly tore the expensive paper. Lexi looked at me, pleading silently. Auntie D, are you sure? The payments seem high. He is a big shot, Lexi, I said, locking eyes with the boy. Big shots pay big premiums. Right, Blaze? He slammed his hand on the desk. Exactly, babe. Don't worry your pretty little head. The energy drink money is dropping any day now. He stood up, grabbing the new keys I had placed on the corner of the desk. I got a sunset to catch. Magic hour. He turned to leave, already typing a caption. Sup, drive safe. I called out. We track speed and braking patterns. He didn't hear me. He was halfway out the door, phone raised high. Just close the deal, fam. Boss moves? Lexi lingered for a second, looking like she wanted to apologize, then ran after him. I looked down at my desk. My mouth. Pen was gone. He had pocketed a $500 writing instrument without breaking stride. It wasn't just theft, it was a petty habit. I didn't chase him. I simply opened the file and added a line item to his account opening costs. Miscellaneous hardware replacement, $500. I waited until the heavy glass door clicked shut. Then I picked up the landline and dialed the service department. Jimmy, I said when the foreman answered. That dark Cayman going out to the kid. Yeah, activate the premium tracker. The one with the remote kill switch and microphone access. I swiveled my chair to watch them in the parking lot below. Blaze was posing on the hood. Heels, digging into the paint. I wanted to know exactly where he was when he realized he was broke. For the next 30 days, my life became a twisted reality show starring Blaze and my asset. I had a burner Instagram account strictly for market research. I followed him. His first post was a photo of the steering wheel. The crest perfectly centered, captioned, #blessed #Grenset. The GPS, however, told a different story. The car wasn't parked at the luxury high-rise he geo-tagged. It was idling behind a dumpster in a cracked asphalt lot 3 blocks from his actual apartment. He drove the Cayman everywhere, treating the precision German engineering like a bumper car. Amly dinner, but the tracker logged aggressive acceleration in school zones and hard braking at 3 a.m. I saw him take it to a cheap gym where he took selfies in the mirror but never lifted a weight. The engine redlined constantly. Hair. He wasn't driving a car, he was building a legal case against himself. Every violation was printed and filed. The dossier grew thicker with every mile he wasted. 2 weeks in, the automated payment reminders started. But my system sends an email 5 days before the due date. Subject A invoice H942 payment upcoming. Blaze posted a story that same day, fanning himself with a stack of $20 bills. Money is energy, fam. He shouted into the camera. Keep it flowing. But the first of the month came and went with absolute silence. No wire transfer. No cashier's check. Just the digital echo of a notification payment overdue. The trap had officially sprung. On the third day, a notification popped up on my phone. A Venmo transfer from Lexi. She had labeled it consulting fee, but I knew it was her rent money. I rejected the transfer immediately. I called her, my voice clipped. No, Lexi. The contract is with him. She sounded tired on the other end. Background noise suggesting she was picking up extra shifts. He's just waiting on the wire from the energy drink guys. She lied. It's international banking. I sent a text to Blaze directly. Invoice past due. Remit immediately to avoid default. An hour later, my receptionist patched a call through. It wasn't an apology, it was a complaint. Yo, Auntie D, chill. Blaze said, his voice thick with sleep at noon. The money is in escrow. You know what escrow is? It's like waiting money. I stared at the phone. I know what escrow is, Blaze. I also know what a repossession order looks like. He hung up on me. I didn't call back. I simply refreshed the GPS map on my monitor. But Blaze claimed he was at a brand strategy offsite. The satellite view showed the car, parked in an industrial park known for two things: unauthorized raves and small-scale narcotics distribution. He stayed there for 4 hours. When he finally left, the speedometer hit 100 miles per hour on the freeway. He was running, not driving. The risk profile just spiked. I pulled up his latest video. He was counting that stack of cash again, bragging about a cash drop at the dealership. I paused the video and zoomed in on the bills. The serial numbers were identical on every single 20. Prop money. The kid, flashing motion picture currency while driving a $70,000 liability. I printed a screenshot of the fake cash and stapled it to the default notice. The grace period was over. It was time to hunt. It was 2 a.m. when my phone buzzed on the nightstand, vibrating against the wood like an angry hornet. The screen glowed with a geofence breach alert. I sat up, sliding on my glasses, and tapped the notification. The map showed the Cayman stationary in a warehouse district known for automotive chop shops and silence. My stomach tightened, not with fear, but with the cold thrill of confirmation. He wasn't just driving the car, he was altering it. I took a screenshot. I switched apps to Instagram, searching for his handle. His story circle was pulsing with a Lev badge demanding attention. I clicked it. The video feed was chaotic, filled with techno music and the hiss of heat guns. Blaze was shouting over the noise, pointing at the Porsche. We going neon, baby! Slime green. For the money team. My beautiful black metallic paint was being suffocated under cheap, bubbling vinyl. He was peeling the dignity off my asset for likes. I didn't feel anger. I felt the mechanical click of a trap shutting tight. I walked to my home office and booted up the laptop. Clause 9 scene. Dinner. Unauthorized modification of vehicle appearance constitutes immediate material breach. He had just voided his lease, his warranty, and his insurance in one careless stroke. I watched him high-five the wrap installer, a guy who looked like he paid taxes and cigarette coupons. Blaze thought he was customizing his ride. He was signing his eviction. I sent a direct message through the app. Unauthorized modification. Stop immediately or face legal action. The scene indicator appeared instantly. 3 dots rippled as he typed a reply. Chill, auntie. It's removable. You don't understand branding. This is how we get the sponsorship. He followed it with a crying, laughing emoji. He truly believed the rules of commerce bent around his ego. He wasn't scared. He was dismissive. That was his fatal error. Arrogance is the anesthesia you breathe before the surgery. I opened the legal template folder. File rid of Replevin. I typed in the VIN number, the breach codes, and the location data. The laser printer hummed to life, spitting out 3 copies of his financial death warrant. I signed the bottom line with a heavy hand, the black ink bleeding slightly into the crisp paper. This wasn't just a repossession anymore. It was a rescue mission. For the machine. The car deserved better than a neon sticker and a fraud. I picked up the phone and dialed Mikey. He answered on the second ring, his voice raspy with sleep. It's time, I said. He's at the wrap shop now. But the tracker shows a scheduled route for tomorrow. He's planning a reveal at the beach. Mikey grunted, the sound of a heavy sleeper waking up to violence. The beach? Sand is bad for the hydraulics. Boss. I stared at the neon green monstrosity on my screen. Bring the flatbed. Before I could hang up, another notification slid down my screen. It was a new post from Blaze. He was sitting on the hood of the now green Porsche, captioning it, "Haters are my motivators." Even the dealership is watching. Stay tuned for the big reveal at noon. He tagged me. He tagged the business account. He invited the predator to the feast. Noon. I told Mikey, my voice dropping to a whisper. We will be there. Wear your nice shirt. Sitting high in the cab of the flatbed, the world looked different. We rumbled down the coastal highway. The heavy diesel engine, drowning out the memory of Blaze screaming. I watched the side mirror as his figure shrank to a dot on the pavement. He had chased us for a block, slapping the metal siding, until his stamina failed. Mikey handed me a lukewarm bottle of water, without looking away from the road. The adrenaline was fading. Replaced family dinner. Replaced by the dull ache of a headache forming behind my eyes. By the time we unhooked the Cayman at the lot, the clip was already global. Wasn't just viral, it was cultural ammunition. My phone was vibrating so constantly it felt alive in my palm. The notifications were a blur of tags on TikTok, Twitter, and Reddit. The headline was variations of fake influencer gets repoed mid, streamed by boss lady. I sat at my desk, the glass walls, vibrating slightly from the showroom noise, and watched strangers dissect the video. They weren't bots. They were jurors. Then came the counter, offensive. Blaze posted a video from his bathroom, the only room with decent acoustics left to him. He looked disheveled, playing the victim with practiced tears. Yo, that lady is crazy. He whispered into the camera, looking over his shoulder like a fugitive. She's my ex. She's obsessed with me. She stole the car because I wouldn't sleep with her. It's a crime of passion. Fam. It was a lie so bold it was almost impressive. He was trying to pivot from fraud to romance. My lawyer, Saul, called me within 3 minutes of the upload. We have him on defamation, Percy. Saul barked, his voice tinny through the speakerphone. I can have a cease and desist served by dinner. I stared at the screen, watching Blaze wipe away a fake tear. No, I said, my voice flat. A lawsuit takes months. The internet moves in seconds. I don't want his money, Saul. He doesn't have any. I want his narrative. I opened my laptop and pulled up the editing software. I didn't need high production value. I needed raw data. I dragged the files into the timeline one by one. Exhibit: the signed lease agreement document with the missed payment logs, highlighted in red. Exhibit B: the GPS records, showing the car parked at the motel he claimed was a penthouse. Exhibit C: the security footage of him stealing my Mont Blanc pen. I sensed the visuals to the audio of him calling me the help. It was a digital autopsy of his entire persona. I titled the video, Receipts, Case number 884, and uploaded it to the dealership's official page. The upload bar crawled across the screen, a slow green line of inevitable destruction. I didn't add a caption. I didn't add hashtags. The truth does not need search engine optimization to find its target. I pressed publish and leaned back in my chair. The silence in the office was heavy, the kind of quiet that precedes a natural disaster. I took a sip of cold coffee and waited for the impact. The reaction was instantaneous and violent. The internet loves a villain, but it loves exposing a liar even more. Within 20 minutes, Receipts video had surpassed his bathroom confession. Amateur detectives began referencing my GPS screenshots with Google Maps. Dinner. Identifying the cheap motel immediately. People zoomed in on the fake Rolex in his old photos, circling the flaws. His follower count began to freefall, dropping by the thousands every time I refreshed the page. He wasn't just losing an audience. He was losing his shield. Then came the corporate death blow. The energy drink company, Bolt, the one he claimed was wiring him millions, saw the trending topic. They issued a statement on Twitter within the hour. We have no affiliation with the individual known as Blaze. We do not condone financial irresponsibility or the misrepresentation of our brand values. Our legal team is reviewing the unauthorized use of our logo. It was a standard corporate disclaimer, but to Blaze, it was a guillotine, dropping on his last hope for income. My office door opened softly. It was Lexi. She held her phone in a trembling hand, the screen displaying the energy drink company's tweet. Her face was pale, stripped of the hope that had blinded her for months. He lied about the sponsorship, she whispered, the realization finally sinking in. He lied about everything. I didn't say I told you so. I just nodded. He didn't just lie, Lexi. He performed. And the show just got permanently canceled. She sat down and finally, truly cried. By evening, Blaze had deleted his social media apps. His profile pictures were gray circles and his bio was blank. The silence from his end was absolutely deafening. I thought it was over. Clean break from a dirty business. But as I packed my bag to leave, my office phone rang. The caller ID was blocked. I picked it up, expecting a reporter. Instead, a robotic, synthesized voice spoke through the line. We can fix this, the voice said. Let's make a deal. The voice on the phone sounded like a robot with a head cold, deep and distorted. This is management, it boomed. We want to discuss a settlement structure. I leaned back, looking at the ceiling tiles. It was pathetic. Blaze, I said, my voice bored. I know it is you. You don't have a management team. You have a tripod and a maxed-out credit card. The line went silent. The synthesized modulation cut off with a sharp click, leaving just the sound of desperate, ragged breathing. Come on, Blaze said, his real voice cracking. I am ruined here. I lost 40,000 followers in 2 days. My mom is kicking me out because the neighbors are complaining about the paparazzi. I raised an eyebrow. Paparazzi. Or the kids from the high school throwing eggs at your window. He ignored the jab. I need a win. Just give me the car back for a week. We film a redemption arc. People love a comeback story. It is content gold. He pitched the idea with manic energy, speaking faster than he could think. We frame it like a misunderstanding. I wash the car for real this time. We shake hands. You look benevolent. I look humble. We split the ad revenue. He actually thought he still had leverage. He believed that his presence was a gift I should be grateful for. I will tag you in every post, he promised. As if his endorsement hadn't just become a digital mark of Cain for brands. I picked up a sales report from my desk. Blaze, listen to me closely. My sales are up 15% this week, turns out. People with actual money prefer a dealership that enforces boundaries. I tap the paper. I do not need your endorsement. I do not need your clout. You are toxic. Any brand that touches you dies. Why would I invite a plague back into my house? The brutal reality finally seemed to hit him. He wasn't the main character anymore. Please? He whispered. I have nothing. I opened the collections folder on my computer. You have a debt, Blaze. That is something. I read the numbers aloud. 72,000 for the car value, plus fees. You owe me more than you will make in the next decade. I let that sink in. This isn't just going away. It goes on your credit report. You won't be able to rent an apartment or buy a phone plan for 7 years. I am ghosting your financial future. The door to my office opened again. Lexi walked in, carrying a small cardboard box of his things she had cleared from her apartment. She looked different. The heavy makeup was gone. And she was wearing a simple t-shirt. She looked like herself again. She heard the tinny voice pleading from the speakerphone and stopped. She didn't look sad anymore. She looked exhausted, like someone waking up from a long, feverish illness. She placed the box on my desk, right next to the phone. Is that him? She asked quietly. I nodded. Blaze heard her voice. Lexi, tell her. Tell her we are a team? Lexi reached into her pocket and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. I found your notebook, Blaze. The one with the girlfriend strategy written in it. She unfolded it. Isolate from family. Extract capital. But gaslight, if questioned. She read the bullet points with a flat, dead voice. I wasn't your girlfriend. I was your investor. And I am closing the account. That is just notes for a video. Blaze screamed, the lie sounding thin and frantic. It is satire. Lexi didn't argue. She didn't scream back. She simply reached out and pressed the mute button on my console. I am done. Auntie D, she said. Do what you have to do? She walked out of the office without looking back at the phone. She left the box of his cheap hoodies and ring lights behind. It was the trash, and she was finally taking it out. I unmuted the call. Blaze was sobbing now. I will pay you, he choked out. Just give me time. I looked at the file on my screen. Time is up, Blaze. I just forwarded your portfolio to a third-party collection agency. They are aggressive. They do not care about your follower count. They only care about liquid assets. I hit the enter key. The file transfer bar completed with a cheerful ping. They will be in touch within the hour. Good luck. I hung up before he could respond. The silence that filled the office was heavy but clean. It smelled like floor polish and solvent. the scent of a sterile environment. I walked over to the window and looked down at the lot. The neon green wrap had been peeled off the Cayman that morning. It sat in the wash bay. Black paint, gleaming under the lights. Restored to its factory settings. The circus was finally gone. It was just business again. 3 weeks later, the humidity had finally broken, leaving the Ohio air crisp and clear. I drove my 10-year-old Lexus sedan down the auto mile, the hybrid engine humming a quiet, reliable tune. It didn't turn heads. It didn't scream for attention or require a monthly payment that rivaled a mortgage. It just worked. Beside me, the passenger seat was occupied not by a ghost, but by family. The windows were down, letting in the smell of asphalt and exhaust. We approached the red light at the intersection of Misery and Commerce. Crazy Al's used cars was a blight on the neighborhood, but known for selling flood-damaged inventory to the desperate. Standing on the cracked sidewalk was a figure holding a cardboard sign. He wasn't filming. He wasn't filming. He wasn't posturing. He was wearing a polo shirt 2 sizes too big. The collar stained with sweat. It was Blaze. Family dinner. Without the ring lights and the carefully curated angles, he looked remarkably small. He looked 19. But last, at family dinner, he was spinning the sign with a lethargic, defeated rhythm, trying to attract customers who wouldn't look him in the eye. Ace. I eased the Lexus up to the white line. Blaze perked up, seeing a clean vehicle that might actually tip. He stepped off the curb, wiping his hands on his cargo shorts. Car wash, $10. He shouted over the traffic noise. Best shine in town. Boss. He leaned toward my window, his eyes scanning the leather interior with a hunger I recognized. He didn't see me in the shadows of the cabin. He only saw the asset. He saw a machine he could never afford again. My finger hovered over the window switch. I could roll it down. I could throw a rag at him. I could ask him if he accepted. Exposured. As a tip. The venom was there, sitting in my throat. But it felt old and dry. He wasn't an adversary anymore. He was just a bad credit score in human form. Engaging with him would be an emotional transaction, and his credit was no longer good here. I kept the glass up. The sound of his voice was muffled, like a radio station losing signal. Is that him? Lexi asked without looking up from her lap. She was highlighting a paragraph in a heavy textbook, titled Principles of Macroeconomics. She didn't sound scared or infatuated. She sounded bored. It looks like him, I said neutrally. She turned the page, the paper rustling softly in the quiet cabin. He looks tired, she observed. Finally, glancing at the side mirror as he receded. Tuition is expensive, I replied. She didn't smile, but she didn't look back either. She just went back to studying the laws of supply and demand. The traffic light turned green. I pressed the accelerator, and the electric motor engaged with smooth, paid-for torque. We glided away from the curb, leaving the boy and his cardboard sign in a cloud of exhaust. I checked the rearview mirror one last time. But Blaze was already turning to the next car, a rusted minivan, pitching his dream for $10 a pop. I turned off the main drag and headed toward the highway. The road ahead was long, boring, and perfectly straight. It was exactly how I liked it.